everybody. Welcome into another edition of Pigskin and Burnt Ends. We are talking Texas college football for you. It is week 4, and we're breaking down all the biggest moments from Texas college football programs, biggest wins, standout players, injuries you need to know about, and what it all means as we head into the meat of the season. I am IndyCarTim. Welcome into the program. Welcome into the College Football Gridiron Coast to Coast Network and FanStream Sports. Need to let everybody know, first and foremost, that today's episode of Pigskin and Burnt Ends is sponsored in part by Ticket Smarter. The 2025 college football season is here, and we know you're looking for the best seats at the most competitive prices, and we want to make sure you take advantage of Ticket Smarter and their mobile app. We know more than ever that buying college football tickets online requires trust, and Ticket Smarter has partnered with more than 100 universities and 24 conferences as their official ticket resale marketplace. They've also partnered with ESPN Events as an official ticket resale partner as well. Purchase your tickets quickly, securely, and at the best prices on the secondary market with the Ticket Smarter mobile app or at ticketsmarter.com. We've got 2 great offers for you. You can save $10 on your purchase of $100 or more on Ticket Smarter by using the code LWOS10. And if you spend more, you can save more, because if you spend $300 or more and use the promo code LWOS20, you'll save $20, not percent, $20 off your purchase. And these codes aren't just a one-time offer either, boys and girls. Use our codes over and over again this season. Save for the best selection of seats to this year's biggest games. Don't wait. Get the biggest selection and pricing now with Ticket Smarter. And remember our codes, LWOS10, LWOS20. Think smarter. Think Ticket Smarter. Thank you, Ticket Smarter. Yeah, big week here in Texas college football. We've got all the games for you. Of course, the big Texas Tech-Utah matchup between 2 top 20 teams. This one, kind of a shocker. I'm not going to lie. No matter what side you were cheering for, I think this was a shocker. Of course, you had the Longhorns hosting Sam Houston State. And this is going to be a contentious segment with the Longhorns, because I've got what's probably going to be some unpopular thoughts on what happened in that game and how excited we should actually be, or how excited you should actually be as a Longhorns fan. We will get into Arch Manning talk. There's no question. Then also, of course, in maybe the final battle for the Iron Skillet, for the foreseeable future, for sure, as TCU gets past SMU in Fort Worth. We've got some Rice and Charlotte talk for you as well. The Aggies are off. The Cougars are off. So instead, I thought we would look. I know they're not in Texas, but they've got a lot of Texas ties, as we got to talk some Oklahoma Sooners football as they get past the Auburn Tigers in a battle of ranked opponents as well. Oklahoma quarterback from right here in my backyard here in North Texas. So we're going to talk some John Mateer and Oklahoma Sooners as well. But look, I think the headline game for the week, not just for Texas, but maybe across all of the college football landscape, as who was it that was out? It was big noon kickoff out in Salt Lake City for Texas Tech and the Utah Utes, the 16th ranked Utah Utes and the 17th ranked Texas Tech Red Raiders. And this was, look, high expectations, I think, for both teams. We talked about Texas Tech and Utah last week. I don't have the exact numbers in front of me because I wrote them down at home, and, of course, I did not bring them to the studio with me. But going into this game, both of these teams were combined for, with a scoring difference of 300 and something to 70. You've got 2 offenses that have been dominating. You've got 2 defenses that have been dominating. You've got momentum on both sides. You're both ranked. You're both being coached well offensively and defensively. And as they say in the business, something's got to give. In this Big 12 matchup, the first conference matchup for both of these teams. And boy, through three quarters, I think we got, I don't know where you guys thought this thing might go. Did you think it would be an offensively dominated game, or did you think it would be a defensively dominated game? I kind of went into it thinking that the offenses would dominate the defense. I don't know why I thought that. There's no reason I thought that. I think in my head that's just where this thing was going. But you had, through three quarters, the defenses just rolling, dominating the line of scrimmage. Turnovers galore. But come the fourth quarter, the Red Raiders got things going. And boy, howdy, after a 10-3 halftime lead for the Red Raiders, you have Baron Morton going out on the first drive of the third quarter. By the way, wasn't playing tremendously against that Utes defense. Couple of picks. But then enter backup quarterback Will Hammond. And even him starting slow, taking over early in the third. You have a scoreless third quarter for both teams. It's 10-3 heading into the fourth quarter. And you still kind of thought, man, this thing's going to come down to the wire. It might be the last team with the ball kicking a field goal or maybe attempting a last-minute drive to score, however that score is, touchdown or field goal to win the game in this defensive struggle. And you had no reason to expect anything different entering the fourth quarter. Will Hammond steps in, and after kind of another stagnant third quarter for the Tech offense, they put together 4 scoring drives to come up with a 34-10 win over number 16 Utah. Hammond threw for 169 yards, 2 touchdowns. He rushed for 61. He entered the game, of course, in relief of Baron Morton, who slammed his helmet on the turf after he slid headfirst into contact with Utah linebacker Jonathan Hall during the opening drive of the third quarter. Morton was ruled out after the hit. Again, they were up 10-3. He only threw for 142 yards, and he also had 2 picks before exiting the game. So Morton was not having the game of his life. He had no answer for the Utah defense. But you know what? Hammond comes in, and not only does the offense not skip a beat, they might have revved it up a little bit, especially in that fourth quarter. Utah quarterback Devin Dampier threw for 162 yards and 2 picks. The Texas Tech defense held the Utes to just 263 total yards and 4 turnovers for Utah. Big, especially early. First half was just full of turnovers from both teams. And Utah's better than that. Utah, obviously, we just said, I think they had scored 134 points combined through 3 games, and then you come in and get held to 10. Just wow. Again, and I can't say how impressed I've been enough with the Tech defense. We've talked about Tech in years past under Joey McGuire. They'd go out. Their offense has been impressive, especially with Morton. You'd go out and, the offense would score 50 points, but the defense would allow 54. And you lose those high-scoring games. The offense would score 60. Defense would allow 61. That is not the Texas Tech team that we see this year. Dominating. I think Tech, again, I had these numbers written down at home. I don't have them in front of me here as I record at our beautiful FanStream Sports Studio in North Dallas. I think Tech had scored 100 and gosh, I don't even have it in front of me now. I don't want to give away stupid bad information, so I'm just not going to. But it was impressive. Go look it up, boys and girls. Their points to points allowed ratio for both of these teams entering this game was ridiculous. But huge, impressive performance, I thought, for the Red Raiders, who climb in the standings in the polls, as he should. Utah, not a good game. Back-to-back turnovers in two first-half drives. They had a 69-yard TD pass get called back for an ineligible receiver downfield. And I don't understand that, because in college you get 3 yards. There's really no reason for an offensive lineman to go beyond 3 yards past the line of scrimmage unless you just get completely lost on the field. And that poor player, I don't know who it was. It doesn't matter. That's the worst possible time to have that penalty. Yeah, because, again, an almost 70-yard touchdown pass called back. In the fourth quarter, the Red Raiders reeled off 3 straight touchdown drives to secure the win. And it was, if you're a Red Raiders fan, you love to see that. And let's just say it now. There is no quarterback controversy in Lubbock. Baron Morton is your guy if he's healthy. Haven't seen anything saying he won't play in the next game. Haven't seen anything indicating he's, massive concussion or anything like that. But just looking, I don't want to say unstoppable, but you got a week off to get healthy for Barron before you head down to Cougars. Heading to the Cougars down in Houston on October 4th. That is an ESPN game at 6 p.m. Central Time. That'll be another one. Baron Morton or Will Hammond, whoever it is, against Connor Wigman. Some high-powered offenses, some smothering defenses. That'll be good. Houston, obviously, also still undefeated at 3-0. They're already 1-0 in the conference. So, yeah, big things for Texas Tech. Highly impressive. Joey McGuire's got things rolling down there, finally, on both sides of the ball. And it's incredible to watch. Unless you're not a Red Raiders fan, then I apologize. But, hey, Texas college football teams, that's what we're here to talk about. Let's get in now, boys and girls, to some of your Texas Longhorns, if you want. Might as well just get that over with. I'm going to probably get some hate tweets, some hate stuff for this. Look, and I'm not hating on the Longhorns. I'm not hating on Arch Manning. As a matter of fact, Texas is in a much better place offensively than they were a week ago. Arch had definitely his best game of the season in a 55-0 blowout of, wait for it, Sam Houston State. Can we just tap the brakes on Arch is back, baby? Got a swagger back. Does he? Other than almost getting a taunting penalty that he should have gotten, by the way. Should have been a taunting penalty. I would still love to hear an explanation on why that was not called, as the official literally had to step in and break up what he was doing and stop him, save him from himself after that first touchdown run, as he is standing over the defender who's laying on the ground, flexing over him, staring him down. 99 times out of 100, that is a taunting penalty. I still don't know why it was called. It wasn't called. But Manning goes 18-21, 309 yards, 3 passing touchdowns, and 2 rushing touchdowns. His efficiency was off the charts. The Longhorns moved the ball well all night. Some people are saying, look at this, it's a huge confidence builder for Arch and for the Longhorns. Is it? Should it be? You didn't just beat Alabama. Hell, you didn't just beat the Aggies. You beat Sam Houston State 55-0. I said last week on this very same show, if the Longhorns don't go into DKR next week, meaning this week, and beat Sam Houston 60-0, then they still have issues. Well, it was 55-0. I was close. And I still think they have issues. Obviously, the defense looked good. The defense has looked fine all year. The defense is not an issue. Arch Manning could still have issues, guys. It was Sam Houston. I don't understand why everyone is proclaiming including his teammates. Now, I get his teammates are going to be supportive of him. I get it. They're supposed to. Yes, that's fine. But for other people, including you Longhorns fans, to proclaim, Arch is back, baby. Hook 'em. Arch is back. Here he is. Dude, it was Sam Houston State. I just don't understand where this blind confidence that he's back. He's not back. He never was yet. We haven't seen Arch that we think is there. He hasn't played anybody and performed well against who he should. Ohio State. Look, and I excuse the Ohio State loss. First start. Reigning national champion. A pro defense with Matt Patricia at the helm. There was no way he was going to win that game. But he hasn't looked good all year. And he looks good against Sam Houston State, and now you guys are going to say, he's back, baby. Here he is. There he is. We always knew it was in there. Well, no. You can't do that. It was Sam effing Houston effing State. You got a week off, and then you head to Florida. Florida's not the best SEC team, but they're not the worst either. And you're going to be on the road at the Swamp. Look, I know USF went in there. I know what Florida's capable of, all right? They played tough against Miami for a little while. But they're going to be up for this game at home. Make no mistake. And this will be a much bigger test. And then you got Oklahoma the next week at the Cotton Bowl. Man, this is not getting easier for Arch. The next two games will be the telltale. If he has another day like he had against, I don't even mean points, just, another 18 to 21, 298 yards, 3 touchdown passes, and I'll even allow an interception against any of these teams, either of the next two teams. Well, then maybe you could grow some confidence. Maybe you can say, there he is. That's the guy. We knew he was in there. Then I'll understand. But against Sam Houston State, come on, guys. Give it a rest. You're fooling yourselves. I guarantee you, while Arch is proclaiming publicly, yeah, I got all the confidence from it. You know what? Deep down inside, he knows it was Sam Houston State. So let's just tap the brakes a little bit on Arch's back talk. He got his swagger. That's all I'm saying. Let's wait for him to do something against somebody that matters. Yes, it was great to see him do well against the team he should have done well against. That great. By the way, nothing against Sam Houston State. I'm not going to dog on the Bearcats. The level of competition that Manning saw against Sam Houston State might be a notch, just a notch, maybe 2 notches. I don't know how many notches there are in this scenario, but maybe 2 notches above who he played in high school. Okay? And what did he do in high school? He dominated. That's why he was so sought after. That's why he's who he is, right? So, no, these are not players that are near the level of competition he's going to see at Florida on October 4th or at the Cotton Bowl on October 11th. So let's just wait until he does it against somebody that he should do it against, okay? Let's just come off of that a little bit, okay? That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying he's not going to. I'm just saying let's wait until he does. But, yeah, if you want to call it a good win for the Longhorns, 55-0 over freaking Sam Houston State, then by all means, you go celebrate that win. I mean, you needed it. I get it, but let's just tap the brakes. By the way, if anybody wants to discuss Arch Manning, I'm always available on any of the social media channels at IndyCarTim, on the X, on the Threads, on the Blue Sky, on the Facebook, or if you were watching this show, this episode on the FanStream Sports YouTube channel, I would offer you come into the comments. Let's talk about it a little bit for sure. I'd love to hear from you. Or if you're listening to the recorded podcast on the College Football Gridiron Coast to Coast Network, I am at IndyCarTim. Just come find me. Again, I'm not bashing Arch Manning. I love the Mannings. I'm from Southern Louisiana, all right? Archie was my favorite quarterback growing up because I got stuck being a Saints fan. So, yeah, I love all the Mannings. I don't want Arch to do well. I'm just saying, let's wait for him to actually do well. That's all I'm saying. All right, enough Longhorns talk. I'm sure you guys are sick of hearing me talk about that. Let's get into, how about, let's get into some Iron Skillet talk, boys and girls, before we talk some Sooners and then some Rice right here on Pigskin and Burnt Ends. Look, everybody knows that listens to this show or any of my other shows where we talk college football or sports in general. I get a little bit soft. I get a little bit emotional talking about the Southwest Conference. I grew up on the Southwest Conference. My dad was an Aggie. I'm an Aggie. Grew up hating the Longhorns. Oh, you wouldn't know it from my last segment, but I don't hate the Longhorns. I mean, I do, but I don't. For the rivalries that we had in the Southwest Conference, I know Arkansas started this when they moved to the SEC in 91. That sort of started the demise of the Southwest Conference, and then finally it breaks up after the 95 season when Texas and everybody said, we're going to join the Big 8 and make it the Big 12. All right, I might have shed a little tear. I know my dad did. But I love the old Southwest Conference rivalries. I love when you have two former Southwest Conference teams playing each other. I dig it. I love it. That pretty much includes anybody. Texas Tech, SMU, TCU, the Aggies, Rice, Cougars, Longhorns. Hell, I'll even throw Arkansas in there. I loved the old, I know the contract ended this past season, but when you had A&M and Arkansas playing each other in the Southwest Classic at AT&T Stadium here in Arlington, I was there at every game. I loved it. I just loved it. Much rather see him at the Cotton Bowl, but but I dig it. But unfortunately, by the way, TCU over SMU at home, 35-24. It was a good game, very evenly matched game. TCU kind of iced it in the fourth quarter. But in the landscape of the Iron Skillet, the Battle of the Iron Skillet, this is the last one we're going to see for a while. Maybe ever. You'd like to think not ever. But this was the 104th matchup between these two teams in the past 110 years. 104th game in 110 years. Don't have why they didn't play before 96. They missed some games, probably during the war, things like that. I get it. That happens. But since the formation of the Big 12, since the breakup of the Southwest Conference after the 1995 season, these two teams went their own separate ways. They've still managed to play every season as non-conference opponents except for two since 1996. 2006, and I don't know why they didn't play that year. They just didn't. And then the 2020 coronavirus pandemic. They didn't play then either. Every other year they managed to play each other. Of course, SMU now in the ACC, and the ACC is moving to a 9-game conference schedule that's rotating so that they can all play each other every couple of years. I get it. It's progress, college football progress. And I'm not against college football realignment. I don't have a problem with that at all. What I don't like is that these little regions, Campuses are like 19 miles apart. There's no reason they shouldn't play each other every year. There's actually no reason they shouldn't be in the same conference, but it's a podcast for another day. But I don't like seeing these geographical rivalries going away. I hated that the Aggies and the Longhorns didn't play for a decade. I'm glad that's back. As an Aggie, I'm glad it's back. It's good for college football. And this is potentially going away. Well, it is going away for the foreseeable future. That is not good for college football. These two teams are going to continue to recruit against each other. But there's no bragging rights anymore. Well, hey, if you're recruiting the same kid, hey, we beat the Mustangs 3 of the last 4 years. Well, no, because you're not playing each other anymore. So I hate that. I hate it with every fiber of my college football being. Eric McAllister had 8 catches for 254 yards and 3 of the career-high 5 touchdowns thrown by Josh Hoover as TCU beat SMU 35-24 on Saturday in the last scheduled game between the former Southwest Conference rivals, which means, again, it's not scheduled. That could change, but it's going to be a while. And I'm sure it is not a priority for either program. Hoover finished with 22 of 40 passing, 379 yards. He now has 53 touchdown passes in his 22 career starts. McAllister's 70-yard catch and run score after breaking through 2 defenders with 9:18 left put TCU ahead to stay. He added a 44-yard touchdown 3 minutes later with a 30-yard catch to midfield. And then he ran the rest of the way. And he came close on a couple of other scores, or non-scores. But I can't say enough about Josh Hoover. The guy's doing everything he's being asked to do. Kevin Jennings on the other side, not having as good of a year as he had last year. The Mustangs are 2-2. Of course, after their inaugural season in the ACC, winning the regular season, going to the ACC championship game, losing to Clemson, still making the college football playoff. That ain't happening this year, unfortunately for the Stangs. By the way, if you're a Mustangs fan or a Mustangs hater, I don't know who hates the Mustangs, but if you hate the Mustangs, they're doing away with their longtime social media hashtag pony up, as I read this. Apparently, the program has stopped using it. The school has stopped using it because Coach Rhett Lashley and the recruiting personnel don't like it because ponies don't sound nearly as intimidating as Mustangs, apparently. And so because of that, I don't know what they're replacing it with. I haven't seen that. I haven't heard that. Are you going to Mustang up or something? I don't know. I just think it's kind of funny. I mean, I like the Mustangs. That's kind of funny. But anyway, a little tidbit there for you. As the last game, potentially, of the battle for the Iron Skillet, TCU victorious. TCU, by the way, holds now the all-time record against the Mustangs. If I can find it, I just had it. 54, 43, and 7. And they'll hold on to that record for a while, unfortunately. Before we get into some Rice talk, can we talk some Oklahoma Sooners and Auburn Tigers? Look, I know it's SEC. I know neither of these teams are in Texas, but the Oklahoma Sooners are Texas adjacent. And their quarterback is from right there in my backyard in Little Elm. Little Elm High School's own John Mateer throws for 271 yards and a touchdown as number 11 Oklahoma beats number 22 Auburn. And former Sooners quarterback Jackson Arnold, 24-7 on Saturday. Mateer, who transferred from Washington State to replace Arnold, scored the go-ahead touchdown on a 9-yard run with 4:54 remaining. The score closed out a 6-play, 75-yard drive that came right after Auburn took the lead for the first time. The Sooners now head into their bye week unbeaten at 4-0, 1-0 in the SEC. Arnold led Oklahoma during last year's upset of Alabama before transferring. He couldn't replicate that magic against the Sooners, in part because they tied a school record by sacking him 9 times. Arnold passed for 220 yards and a touchdown, but rushed for minus 11 yards on 20 carries. Ouch. Oklahoma pass rusher R. Mason Thomas missed the first half after being called for targeting last Saturday against Temple. He got a sack on his second play back into the third quarter, then later sacked Arnold for a safety with 1:06 left to close out the scoring. Oklahoma held the Tigers to 287 yards. Defensive linemen accounted for 8.5 of Oklahoma's sacks. So big performance by your number 11 then Sooners over the then number 22 Auburn Tigers. Auburn falls to 3-1. They are 0-1 in their conference in the SEC. And look, John Mateer continues to be discussed in the Heisman Trophy voting. He's in the discussion. He should be in the discussion. There's a handful of guys I think that have a realistic chance this year. We won't get into that now. Probably do that a little bit later when it matters, a little closer to the voting. I don't think week 4 is the time you need to start talking about Heisman favorites and stuff. I hate when they do that in September and August. I just think it's ridiculous. But, going back to Spencer Rattler back at OU, I believe was the preseason Heisman favorite. He didn't even finish the season there. It was horrible. It was terrible. So but he's doing well in New Orleans, I guess. Or maybe not. But, I just think it's silly to talk about it now. But you know what? Down the road, if he can continue the pace he's on, I think very absolutely he should be in the discussion with some of those other guys. And let's see, I don't think we've talked about Rice all season except for when they played Houston and got slobber-knocked by the Cougs. But Rice over the Charlotte 49ers, 28-17. Rice improves to 3-1. They were 1-0 in the American. Chase Jenkins used his legs and his arm in the 28-17 win. He threw for a touchdown and ran for another. Dalen Alexander rushed for 73 yards and 2 touchdowns. Rice beat Charlotte on Thursday night in the conference opener for both teams. Rice is open to season 3-1 for the first time in 24 years, 2001, when the Owls won 6 of their first 7 games. Scott Abel is the first coach to have 3 wins in his first 4 games of a career at Rice since Bohagen in 1967. That's even before I was born. Not by much, but before I was born. Jenkins was 8 of 11 passing for 87 yards. He carried it 10 times for 71 yards. Quentin Jackson added 80 yards on the ground. Rice had key sacks in each of Charlotte's final 2 possessions to help seal the deal. Loftus was 15 of 31 for 186 yards for Charlotte. Liam Boyd went 3 of 4 on field goal attempts with a long of 40. Connor Harrell threw for 382 yards last week in a win over Monmouth. He was just 8 of 13 for 73 yards this week. So good defensive stand by Rice. We will probably continue to monitor Rice here as the season progresses with all of the college football talk, opinion, news for you guys. If there's a college football team here in Texas, doesn't have to be FBS. It can be anybody. You know, we've talked a little bit of Stephen F. Austin. We've talked a little bit of North Texas. Undefeated, the North Texas Mean Green right down the road here in Denton. We're trying to talk some of the smaller schools when it's warranted. But if I'm missing someone you would like to hear me talk about, UTEP, San Antonio, Texas San Antonio maybe, let me know. Who am I missing that you want to hear about? And I'd be happy to cover them and you make them a part of the show. We only have so much time and so many teams, but I don't mind going overtime sometimes. We can do that. Not married to a clock. Do whatever we want here on the Pigskin and Burnt Ends college football extravaganza. Keep changing the name of the show, I guess. And again, I keep promising this every week. We'll get into the burnt ends portion of the show as things settle down here, as we get into the meat of the season. We need to talk some barbecue. We need to talk some local beers. We need to talk local whiskeys. whatever you like to match with your barbecue, and it doesn't just have to be barbecue. Any local food places, establishments that we should talk about, throw them my way. Again, at IndyCarTim across all of your social medias. If you'd like to email the show or email me with some of your food picks, your drink picks, your barbecue picks, info@fanstreamsports.com is the best way to reach me there, and I'd be happy to discuss whatever you would like to discuss. Again, if you're watching the video on the FanStream Sports YouTube channel, make sure you comment, and I'd be happy to answer you there. We'll get into all of this for you and get into more next week on Pigskin and Burnt Ends right here on College Football Gridiron Coast to Coast and FanStream Sports. Until then, boys and girls, I'm IndyCarTim, and we'll do it all again with some more Texas college football talk. Thank you to Ticket Smarter. Don't forget our codes, LWOS10 and LWOS20. Think smarter, Ticket Smarter. Until next time, boys and girls, we'll see you.